Hello everybody, here we are again, fireside chat for you on ratios. You see the whiteboard there, we're going to talk about PELL. Quickly, to your left there is Tim Curley. He's a fifth-year accounting major. I think you guys are familiar with him. You might not know his partner there to the right, Pete Koenig. He's also a fifth-year accounting student. So these guys are going to talk to you quick about ratios, and they're pretty experienced, so listen up.
How's it going, everyone? Today, like Adam said, we're going to go over PELL. And PELL is, from what we went over in class, is profitability ratios, efficiency ratios, liquidity, and leverage. Okay. But before we get started on PELL, I just want to talk about EVA. EVA is very important, like we said in class, because it's a better measure of a company's performance than net income, because it takes into the opportunity cost of capital. So when you're looking to use or provide net income or EVA as a benchmark for each other on a company's performance, you most likely want to use EVA because it does take into account the opportunity cost of capital.
So the first part of PELL we're going to talk about today is profitability. And there are three ratios that are key to remembering the profitability of a company. It's ROE, ROC, and ROA. ROE is return on equity, ROC is return on capital, and ROA is return on assets. And it just measures different measures of net income and how the company's performing. Just remember, higher the better.
Yep. So when I always think of return on equity. How are we generating income based upon our equity? It's kind of self-explanatory, but next is efficiency, and efficiency is dealing with how are we using our resources to better our business. And some of the efficiency ratios include asset turnover, inventory turnover, average collection period. Asset turnover simply means how hard are our assets working. Okay, how much are we generating income on our assets? Inventory turnover, very important, especially in manufacturing companies, pretty much any non-service organization. You want your inventory to turn over very fast, okay? Usually the faster the better. However, you want low days in inventory. I think of it like this. It's pretty much a simple explanation. You don't want your inventory in the warehouse very long, okay? It's going to lose value over time. It indicates that people probably aren't buying your product, so that's not a good thing. And another important efficiency ratio is average collection period, and that's our ability to collect from customers, and that's usually on a credit basis. So if we have a good credit department, we collect fairly quickly. So you want the average collection period to be low. The lower the better. Benchmark for that, but depending on industries, is about 30 days. Okay, so again, it depends upon what type of product you're selling. Okay, and that's about it for efficiency ratios.
All right, we're gonna cut real quick. We'll be back to talk about the two L's. So stay with us here.
Thanks for staying with us. While you were gone, we played musical chairs, and now Adam Oringer is on the left. He's a fifth-year finance student, so he knows a lot about PELL, and Tim switched over to the right.
Okay, thanks, Pete. We'll start off with the first L in PELL here, and that's going to be liquidity. When you're going to take a look at liquidity ratios, this is going to give you a better picture of how well they're managing their current assets and current liabilities. This will be an important step when analyzing the balance sheet. So you'll get on and you'll look at the balance sheet. You'll pick out the current assets, and for a firm that is doing well, is financially strong, their current ratio is going to be at least greater than 1. Because if you just think about it in terms of numerator and denominator, if assets are up top, you're going to want those to be more than enough to cover the liabilities that you also have due within the year. So the current ratio is going to be very important for getting a picture of how well they're managing net working capital. So that's going to be the main focus in the liquidity part of PELL there. The next one we'll talk about is leverage. Your leverage ratios are going to come into play when it comes time to finance some sort of activity. You're going to go to the bank, and they're going to want to look at your leverage ratios. The first one we can talk about is debt to equity. This is a capital structure ratio that really is going to look at how much debt you have in relation to how much equity, how highly levered you are. You'll begin with your how much debt you have on your books. No matter what the real maturities are, you're going to have several different types of debt, and that'll be over however much equity you have on your books. That's actually very important to consider what type of company you're looking at. If it's a growth company, just hitting the market, they have a bunch of big projects, expansions, they're going to have a lot of debt. With that being said, some of the more mature companies, that ratio is going to be a little bit more mild. And then again, you'll have firms that don't even have debt. So that'll be an interesting one to take a look at. The next will be times interest earned. Times interest earned will help paint a picture of what interest obligations they have coming in the near future, and it'll also tell you how well they're going to be able to meet those obligations. Because when you have debt on your books, you have obligations to make payments on that debt, and for some firms that's not a problem, and for some that will be a red flag that they won't be able to meet that ratio there. Times interest earned will be very important for firms with a significant amount of debt, because whatever cash flows they have coming in, they will have to make payments on that debt. So take a good look at that one. And the last one we'll talk about quick is debt to EBITDA. A lot of people use debt over next 12 months EBITDA, or you could look at it backwards and say last 12 months EBITDA. That's going to look at what the company should be traded at or valued at with relation to how well their cash flows are actually producing money that can be used for other things besides debt. I know that's a little tricky to understand, but that's a good way to value a firm, by looking at debt over. If you look at next 12 months EBITDA, that's going to involve projections of cash flow, because I don't know if Tim's covered it, but essentially EBITDA is your proxy for cash flow. That's going to be a quick just assumption of cash flow, and in this ratio it comes in pretty handy to sort of value a company, and that's another one, a very important one to take a look at when you're looking at your leverage ratios.
Great, thank you.